Too much availability kill your value. Listen carefully. Too much availability convinces people you'll always be there, reducing your value. Create distance so your presence remains meaningful, respected, and genuinely appreciated instead of taken for granted. When you're always available, people stop noticing your efforts. Protect your time so others understand your worth and treat you with the respect you deserve. Overavailability makes your presence feel ordinary. Step back sometimes so others recognize the uniqueness you bring into their lives and the importance of having you around. Being too available teaches people to expect you constantly. Limit your presence so your value rises and your time is treated with care and seriousness. Constant presence dulls appreciation. Give space so people can miss your energy and understand the real value you add whenever you show up again. People respect what isn't easily accessible. When you become too available, you lower your perceived value. Protect your time and raise your worth. When you say yes too often, you create an image of unlimited access. Choose your availability wisely so your presence gains meaning, depth, and value. Too much availability signals low boundaries. Set limits so people understand your time is precious and not something to be used without consideration. Being always present makes others feel entitled to you. Step back so they recognize your importance and learn to appreciate your efforts genuinely. People take you for granted when you're always around. Restrict your access so your presence becomes something worth noticing and valuing sincerely. If everyone can reach you anytime, they stop valuing your presence. Create distance to increase your impact and strengthen the meaning behind your actions. Too much availability makes others forget your uniqueness. Give space so they remember what you bring and why your presence matters deeply. Availability without boundaries invites disrespect. When you protect your time, you elevate your worth and teach others how to treat you properly. When you reduce your accessibility, you increase your value. Distance helps others recognize your significance and appreciate you more genuinely. People respect what they cannot easily have. Withdraw your constant availability so your presence becomes special, valued, and genuinely sought after. Always being available gives people the illusion your time is endless. Establish boundaries so they understand its true worth and value you properly. Overavailability creates complacency. Step back and strengthen your value by making your presence something people must earn, respect, and appreciate. People stop valuing you when you're always there. Give space so they notice your absence and learn to appreciate your presence much more. Too much availability kills mystery and reduces respect. Protect your time so people understand your worth and approach you with sincerity. If you're always accessible, people assume you have nothing else to do. Guard your time to increase your value and build stronger boundaries. Constant availability weakens personal value. Take time for yourself so people understand your boundaries and treat your presence with gratitude. Being too available makes people forget your importance. Step back so they recognize what you bring and why your presence shouldn't be taken lightly. When you're always there, people stop appreciating your efforts. Give distance so they rediscover gratitude and value your presence properly. If everyone can reach you anytime, you lose exclusivity. Protect your time so others respect your boundaries and value your contributions. Too much availability diminishes your presence. Create space so people feel the gap, miss your energy, and value your return even more. Overavailability causes people to overlook your efforts. Step back so your presence becomes meaningful, and your value increases naturally. People take advantage of you when you're always available. Limit access so you attract respect instead of convenience-based connections. When you make yourself too available, you unintentionally teach others to undervalue you. Protect your time to increase your importance and impact. Constant presence reduces curiosity, and interest. Give space so people appreciate the depth you bring when you choose to show up. If you're always around, people stop seeing your worth. Step back and watch how their appreciation grows when you're not immediately accessible. Too much availability encourages others to misuse your kindness. Build distance, so your generosity is valued and never exploited. Being constantly available can drain your spirit. Take time away so others understand your value and treat your presence with more respect. When you're always accessible, people stop trying. Limit your availability so they meet you with effort, appreciation, and genuine respect. People rarely value what is always present. Step back and watch how your worth increases the moment they notice your absence. Overavailability makes your presence predictable. Create space so your return feels meaningful and your value rises naturally. Too much availability lowers standards. Set boundaries so you teach others how to treat you and how important your time truly is. If you give unlimited access, people forget your worth. Withdraw occasionally so they remember your significance and value your presence. Again. Being always available makes others assume you'll tolerate anything. Create distance to gain respect and protect your emotional boundaries. Constant availability kills appreciation. Step back so your presence becomes something to look forward to rather than take for granted. When people expect your presence too easily, they lose gratitude. Set limits so your value shines clearly and unmistakably. Too much availability teaches others to treat you casually. Withdraw slightly so your presence becomes meaningful and respected again. If you're always there, people stop valuing your time. Establish boundaries so they learn your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. Always being accessible makes your presence feel ordinary. Step back to elevate your worth and regain the respect you truly deserve. People appreciate distance more than constant access. Reduce your availability so your presence becomes something meaningful and valued. Too much availability creates emotional exhaustion. Protect your time so others understand its worth and treat you with deeper respect. If everyone can reach you instantly, you lose value. Make yourself less accessible so people recognize your importance. Constant availability weakens self-respect. Set boundaries to remind yourself and others of your true worth and emotional capacity. Being too available attracts convenience seekers. Limit access so only genuine connections remain, and your value stays protected. When you're always available, people abuse your time. Step back and make your presence something people treasure, not exploit. People forget your worth when they see you too often. Distance teaches them to value your presence and appreciate your contributions. Too much availability leads to misuse of your kindness. Create space so only sincere individuals remain close to you. If you're always accessible, people stop reciprocating. Step back so respect and appreciation return to your relationships. Overavailability creates an illusion of endless time. Protect it so others learn. Your presence is precious and should be valued accordingly. Too much availability lowers your worth in the eyes of others. Build boundaries so respect grows naturally. Constant presence removes excitement and value. Step back to bring meaning and appreciation back into your relationships. When you're always there, people stop noticing your efforts. Create space so they understand your true importance. Too much availability makes your presence feel cheap. Reduce access so your value increases and your boundaries strengthen. Overavailability drains your worth. Protect your energy so people treat you with genuine respect and not entitlement. Always being available encourages people to take advantage. Step back so they learn to value your presence properly. If you never withdraw, people stop appreciating your presence. Space brings clarity and increased value to everything you offer. Too much availability makes you easy to forget. Distance helps people remember your worth and treat you with appreciation. When you're always accessible, People not forget what life feels like without you. Step back so they rediscover your value. Excessive availability invites disrespect. Set boundaries so your presence becomes a meaningful experience, not a routine convenience. Too much presence weakens your impact. Create distance so people feel the difference you bring whenever you show up. Constant availability lowers your emotional value. Make time for yourself so others treat you with sincerity. People treat you casually when you're always around. Step back to elevate your worth and regain their genuine respect. Too much availability kills uniqueness. Limit access so your presence feels special and meaningful again. If you're always present, people forget your importance. Create space so your absence teaches them appreciation. Over-availability reduces the weight of your presence. Withdraw slightly so your value increases naturally. Always being accessible makes your presence predictable. Create distance so people appreciate your time more deeply. Too much availability discourages effort. Let others work for your time so your worth becomes undeniable. Constant presence invites carelessness. Step back and watch how your value rises when you're not constantly available. When you're always there, people assume you'll never leave. Create distance to remind them your presence is a privilege. Too much accessibility weakens boundaries. Protect your time so your worth grows intentionally and consistently. People overlook your efforts when you're too available. Step back so they recognize everything you truly bring. If you give endless access, people lose respect. Limit availability so your presence gains importance again. Constant availability breeds entitlement. Set boundaries so others approach you with respect and gratitude. Too much availability lowers your emotional worth. Keep distance so your presence gains depth and meaning. When you're always accessible, people stop putting in effort. Step back so they learn to value you properly. Excessive availability diminishes excitement. Withdraw slightly so your presence feels refreshing and valuable. Too much availability makes your presence feel expected. Create space so others appreciate your time more sincerely. People take you for granted when you're always there. Distance teaches them to value your energy and presence again. Overavailability invites emotional neglect. Protect your time so your worth remains respected and never minimized. When you're constantly available, people stop cherishing your presence. Step back to restore appreciation. Too much accessibility reduces respect. Build boundaries so others understand. Your time is valuable and not endlessly given. Being always present weakens the power of your absence. Create space so your value becomes unmistakable. Excessive availability makes you blend into routine. Step back so your presence becomes something meaningful again. Too much availability teaches others not to try. Limit access so your relationships regain balance and mutual respect. When you're always accessible, people forget your importance. Distance reminds them of your true worth. Overavailability damages self-respect. Protect your boundaries so others treat you with proper value and appreciation. Too much availability makes your presence lose impact. Create space so people feel the difference when you return. If you're always there, people never miss you. Step back so your presence becomes something they genuinely long for. Constant availability weakens your boundaries. Withdraw a little so your value grows in the eyes of others. Too much availability leads to emotional burnout. Protect yourself so others learn to respect your presence properly. When you're always around, people assume you have nothing else to do. Keep distance to raise your value. Overavailability encourages disrespect. Set limits so your time is handled with care and genuine appreciation. Too much access makes your presence ordinary. Reduce availability so your value shines through your absence. If you're always available, people ignore your efforts. Create distance so they recognize everything you bring into their lives. Constant presence lowers appreciation. Step back so gratitude returns and your worth becomes clear again. Too much availability kills your value. Protect your time so your presence remains meaningful, respected, and truly appreciated by those who deserve it.